evening, everybody. My name is Mandila Kachwete, and you are on the couch with Mandi. We are today talking about a very serious issue. Imagine a world where children are children, where children can walk to the shop and not feel threatened. Imagine a world where children can play outside until 10 p.m. Gone are those days. So today we're talking about Child Protection Week as we are currently on that. So I have with me on the panel Faith and Hope Missing Persons. That is Benji. She's well known as Benji. And then we have Action Society's Kaylynn Palm. And you obviously know the real McKenzie, Angus McKenzie. He's a ward councillor for Bonteheuwel. So I'm going to say this before we all start talking and like introducing ourselves properly. I just want you to know that the comments have been switched off for a reason. We don't need distractions right now. So we're going to start. And then when we are done, which is we're going to take 45 minutes, at 7:45, we will then take questions only for 15 minutes. So also I want to say, we are not here to settle scores. If you have a problem with your councillor, please contact the City of Cape Town or look for his number on the City of Cape Town's website. Okay, so we are going to start with Faith and Hope Missing Persons, Benji. Benji, can you just tell us about yourself and your organization, just briefly, and then we will get into like how you started and all of that. And then Kaylynn will be next, and then Mackenzie.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Veranique Benji from Faith and Hope Missing Persons, the founder. It's an NPO organization, a registered organization, doing the whole Western Cape and also international in South Africa. So we are working with missing persons. Missing persons is our mandate to help search the South African Police Services and also FCS. And bullying, we help out with bullying, gender-based violence, and teenage problems.
Kaylynn, can you also introduce yourself and tell us what Action Society is and what you also deal with?
Sure. I'm Kaylynn Palm. Weird saying that. Weird saying your own name. I am a former journalist. You know me since working in the field for about 10 years. I recently, well, not recently, but in the last 3 years, I made the move to Action Society. I'm the spokesperson as well as the Action Center coordinator / head. But so essentially what we do at Action Society, it's a civil rights organization, and we specifically focus on gender-based violence, child murders, child assault, women murders, femicide, and the two essential things that we do in terms of the GBV space is court oversight as well as private investigations only if it is necessary. And yes, basically we try and assist victims of crime on a court and a more justice level, in a nutshell.
Okay, Angus, can you just tell us about yourself? Not about yourself. We don't want to know how old you are and how many children you have, but just what you do. Thank you.
I never thought the day would come, our dear Kaylynn in a nutshell. Well done, Kaylynn.
I'm old, yo.
No, so my name's Angus McKenzie. That sounds weird to say my own name. I've been a councillor since 2016. So what's that? That's 9 years I've been a councillor. Before that, I was always involved in community and community work. I had a professional career in sales and marketing worked for some big companies. I see being a councillor I'll be honest with you, I don't enjoy the political side of being a councillor. I do enjoy the side of helping people, but more than anything, I see my role as an enabler. enabling people to take control, enabling people to make a difference, enabling people to really do what they can do best. I am a staunch fighter against gender-based violence, violence against children in particular. I think my experience over the years has shown that when I've encountered situations and criminal acts which have involved females and children, I've literally, pulled out all the stops and called in every favor to get to the bottom of it. So, I thoroughly enjoy what I do, because I do believe that despite people that aren't happy, and there'll always be unhappy people, I think we're making a difference where it matters most.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So let's just start with children are no longer safe. They're not safe at school. They're not safe. In fact, they're not even safe in their own homes. Benji, you hear of a child that's missing. What is your first thought? Because of how the makeup of the society has been, what is your first thought?
My first thought is when I receive a call of a minor that is missing, my worry is what happened. First, what happened? Where is the child? And then I immediately jump and get my members to get ready so that we can go out and go to the station to get the SAP-55 and start with our compiling info first and then with our searches.
But you not maybe have I'll make you an example. When I found out there was a 6-year-old that went missing in Meadowpos, the first thing I thought was we're probably gonna find the body, because that's how society has shifted us in our thinking, in how we see the world now. So is that something that ever crosses your mind, or is it like one of your worst fears?
It comes to your worst fear, but sometimes this is what I always say to myself: when it's a minor, I can still try and save this child. Before anything happens, you need to go out there. You can do something before this child, you're going to find this child dead, or you're going to find this child in a dump or something. So that is my first thing. I'm going to try and save this child. That is my thing. I want to save this child. That's why my response is like, I'm telling you, it's quickly.
Action Society has been around for some time now. You've dealt with more, I don't know how many child unalivings you've dealt with. I know there's a Mia Botha case. So how safe are our children? I mean, Mia, it was load shedding. She went missing, and the next day she was found deceased. So how best can we protect the children also?
I mean, that is such a sad story, even thinking about it now, because Mia's killers have not been found yet. The mother is still have sleepless nights because she worries about obviously how this happened, and more importantly, who took her 4-year-old away from her. Again, like Benji was saying, or you were saying, Mia was just playing outside like a normal kid. She was right in front of her house. There was a park opposite her house, and someone snatched her. Load shedding happened. People were walking around with their phones, trying to doing the search, trying to find her, and then hearing the devastating news that she was killed. Still today, I try and visit the family, just to I was their Mother's Day, just to make her feel somewhat special, because she lost a little one. Again, I don't think our kids are safe in this day and age. I think I heard Benji earlier this morning speaking about, I think you said 3 cases this morning that you dealt with. three missing persons went missing. I don't think our kids are safe. If we are dealing with, in a 3-month period, just between September, October, and December last year, more than 200 children being killed, 200 children being killed in a 3-month period, that should answer your question. How safe are our kids? So they're not.
You know, Mandi, yesterday we had 3 children missing. A 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old of Kleinvlei.
Okay.
And the response was also very, very quick from SEP side. Was very, very quick. And you know what? It's sad for me, especially when it comes to Mia's case. I believe when a minor goes missing, the first hour is crucial. And the first person that goes out to compile info, you can read. That first hour you can read quickly. But you know, you must be born an investigator, I think. You must be born an investigator to pick up all this information. Then you will get to the point, or you will get. But I'm telling you, the perpetrator is there, still there, around, and that person know who he is.
Yeah.
Even there is people can't say they didn't see anything. They did see, but they just don't want to talk.
Yeah.
You
Agreed.
see,
Good point.
and people, you know what? Our communities and parents need to realize that our children is very important. When a child comes home and say, "Mommy, I want to talk to you," rather put your phone down, put your bag down, or put the food when you're busy with food, and listen to what your child is saying. It can be something very interesting. It can be something that the child just come home and just wanted to say, but that child wants you to hear her or him just out. No? Or it can be something very, very bad. So we as parents also need, we living in a new generation. And this phone is a good thing and it's also a bad thing. We need to interact with our children. That is very important. Parents don't even know what their children's phone number is. They don't even know if their child have a phone. They don't even know if the child is on Facebook. They don't even know who is their child's friends. You need to interact with your child. You need to know everything about your child, where your child is going, with who your child is going, in what environment your child is. You can't just let your child go play outside. I don't leave my children, I'm telling you, for 5 minutes out, alone. I don't even send him to the shop because it's dangerous.
Okay. Angus, you
Yeah.
work for the local government, right?
Yeah.
You deal with so many cases like this. Where is the government? And now, not necessarily local government, not the provincial, but where is government going wrong? What are we missing as government? Like which direction should the government go to protect children?
So, so I think the Betty, it's Betty, eh? Sorry, I don't. It's the first time I'm meeting you. It's Betty, eh?
Benji,
The faith out person.
Benji,
Benji.
Benji.
not Perry,
Sorry, what
Benji.
was that name?
Benji.
Benji. Sorry, my apologies, Benji. It's the first time I'm meeting you. I know Kaylynn well. Kaylynn I know far too well, and Mandi I know far too well. But I think Benji makes an absolute critical point about the manner in which she reacts to her own children, the timing around issues, and it leads me to, I think, one of the most critical points when it comes to child safety is that, and I must be careful how I say this because I'm not generalizing, but the fact of the matter is that parents play a critical role when it comes to the safety of children. I think parents' role is more important than government's role when it comes to the safety of children. And I'll tell you why I say that, and maybe allow me to use myself as an example, and I'm not the perfect example. But to give you an example, my father is exactly 30 years, I lie, he's 74. He's exactly 30 years older than me. My first son is exactly 30 years younger than me. Now, that wasn't planned. It wasn't set up that way, but what I am trying to say is that by the time I had my first child, or my dad had me, by that time, you'd lived your life. You'd identified what it is you want for your life. You were now focused on what the next step of your life is, which is now raising children. But sadly, what is happening in our communities across poorer areas, and so it's not just a Cape Flats issue. It's sadly happening across all areas. Is that 30 years doesn't exist. That gap between your first child and yourself is sitting at like 14, 15, 16 years old. So these children are having children. And so there's no level of responsibility. There's no mindset shift that says, well, now I'm a parent. Now I need to act accordingly. I need to change the way I do things. And so very often where you see problems in a household, where you see social ills rear its head in the most horrible way, where you see children living under the most trying circumstances, or where children even go missing. A lot of the times the children go missing. A lot is dragged back to actually what's happening within that household. And so when the question then raises itself to say, what can government do, or what must government do? I think, and I'm not covering up for government, and this is government in general, because this is not a political discussion, but I think we need to shift the mentality of what can government do and shift it back to what we as a community can do. And I'm not just talking about Bonteheuwel. I'm talking about a community as a whole. Because we come from and many of us are too young to have known it, and we've heard the stories, but our past taught us something. We were raised from the past, and it taught us something very, very important. Jou kind is my kind, is the Afrikaans saying. Jou kind is my kind. And I remember growing up in Bonteheuwel was the funniest thing ever. If I was naughty, my father was at work, my mother was at work. So if I was naughty in the road, I did stuff I shouldn't do. The neighbor would call me. I would get a hiding from the neighbor. So either the neighbor gave me a hiding, or my granny gave me a hiding. If my granny wasn't there, the neighbor got my bum first. That was it. I was getting a hiding. And then when my father came home from work, I wouldn't have to say nothing. The neighbor would come, and the neighbor would tell my father, luister Patrick, Angus het die en die gedoen, en ek het die en die, ek het hom geslaan. And then I'd get another hiding. So we really need to, what we must be doing as a community is we can't stop children from having children. As much as we putting out messaging on contraceptives and how much more important schooling is, it's just the trend that's continuing unabated. What we should be doing is, as a community, we should be supporting those mothers. We should be looking out for each other, and we should be looking out for our children. Your neighbor could tell you where you were as a child before anyone thought you went missing in the past. That doesn't happen in our communities anymore. In our communities now, people are living past each other. They don't talk to each other. They don't care about one another. I grew up getting food from the neighbor next door. Or I grew up going to give food to another neighbor on the other side. That doesn't happen anymore. And so I think the foundation phase of creating a society where children are safer is really working with parents. And I don't have enough experience in that. And that's why maybe you can tell me. But I'm very sure that in every single case of a missing child that you have dealt with, there was a mother that was probably a teenager still. The last point I want to make on this issue, many years ago, probably about 4, 5, or 6 years ago, an 8-month-old baby was sexually assaulted in Bonteheuwel. I immediately responded to it. So yes, they'd gone to the police, etc., and all this stuff, but I wanted to know more because we had to immediately deal with the situation. I then instructed the entire family to be at my office later that evening. I opened my office up. When they sat in front of me, there were three middle-aged females, a middle-aged female, a younger female, and an older female sitting. My first question was, where's the mother of the child? And the lady, the middle-aged lady said, no, I'm the grandmother of the child. And the grandmother was younger than what I was, and I'm not giving my age away on the show. But the grandmother was younger than what I was, and she was the grandmother. So I really want to say to you that and also lastly, sorry, the one of the biggest challenges, people don't know what to do when children go missing. They don't know. And that first hour is so important. A child can be reported missing at any point. It doesn't have to be 48 hours. If your child is not where your child is supposed to be and they're nowhere around there, that child must be reported. But it is absolutely disgraceful that parents wait till tomorrow to find out where their child has gone to. And we know it. We found a child in a cupboard a year ago. The child hid away in a cupboard in his own house. His mother didn't care. His mother had just told me, my child is missing. I said, have you looked? Have you reported it to the police? I reported it to the police, only to find the child in the cupboard the next day, because the child was so traumatized with what's happening in their homes. So I want to say to us that, one, we have a responsibility to support each other. We have a responsibility to enable people to know what to do when children and these sort of things happen, that it can be reported immediately to the police, and the police must take these cases immediately. But thirdly, and most importantly, we have a direct responsibility to ensure that we are really bringing back a culture that says, jou kind is my kind, en as jy nie jou kind groot kan maak nie, gaan ek jou help jou kind groot maak. We really need to become more human towards the situation, because the lack of humanity has seen a spike in the increase of missing children. Let's be honest. The lack of humanity has seen the spike of increase in murders and killings and children getting hurt. We must bring humanity back, not politics, not I'm this party, you that party, I go to this church, you go to that church. That's rubbish. We must bring humanity back, so that when we have humanity in place again, there we start being human towards people, we start loving people, we start respecting people again, and looking after what's ours, which is everyone that's around us.
You know, you made valid points, all of you guys. And I'm like thinking now, that are we those kind of parents where we, each and every time our children cry, we just give them a device. They cry, we just give them a device. And we don't teach them the necessary social skills to read people. I mean, we obviously not naming this child, but we had recently a child who went missing in Hanover Park. The 9-year-old, you know, the minute they said that there's a man involved in whatsoever, I became worried, because I said, this child comes from a good home. This child comes from a good family. This child was taught that when an adult sends you to the shop, you run to the shop, you stop what you're doing, you run to the shop. Unfortunately, she was sent to the shop by the wrong adult, you know, by someone who would end up allegedly hurting her, you know. So those values, are they still here? And are you not then teaching your child, or are you not teaching your child, but I mean, are you not putting your child at risk if you teach them still those values, you know? And also, Mackenzie, you touched on the parents, the young parents and whatsoever, and the community that is not maybe like your kind is my kind, you know? We've got a child also, Jocelyn. Benji, that one is for you, the values that we are teaching our children. That's for you and for Kaylynn. But then also, Mackenzie, when you're talking about the community, we've got children like Jocelyn, whose mother had been telling people that I want to sell my child, you know. did then that your kind as my kind, would it have worked if the community had come together and said, listen, I've been hearing this and let me just do something about it? Kaylynn, what can we do also about that? Is there a law, or are you breaking a law if you say that I want to sell my child, but you haven't sold your child yet?
Jeez.
Benji, if you want to take on
You know, you were touching on, is there a law if you want to sell? Remember, if you want to sell, it's already an attempt.
sorry, Benji, mute yourself when you're not talking, Kaylin, so that your baby doesn't make a noise.
Yeah, no, my apologies, my dog's in there.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Benji.
Yeah. So it's the thought is already there. You see, the thought is already there that you want to sell your child. What mother sell a child? That child lay 9 months under my heart. The pain, I went through a lot of pain to give birth to you. So when the attempt is there and the thought is there, it's already a crime by me. It's already a crime.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure what you feel, Kaylynn, but that is what I feel. That is already a crime.
I must agree. I think the crime is not in the action. The crime is in the thought and planning. The big difference between first degree, I'm talking like in America now, the big difference between first degree murder and second and third degree murder is not the murder itself. It's the intention it's the intention to murder. It's the intention to do something. But the challenge you sit with in this case, this is where the community has to then take the stand and not necessarily the cops, because the cops aren't going to react to the fact that you said you want to sell your child. What's the cops going to do? The cops are going to put it down on a note of paper. They might just insert it into their systems, and that's going to be the end of it. This is where community structures become critical, and above community structures, our poor level, and we must say it, our poor level of social working becomes critical here, because that mother must be pulled in. That mother must be pulled in, and in social services need to take that child away from the mother before that child harms the mother, before that mother harms the child. That those actions must take place. So the community can also play that role in a huge way. But what happens today is that we turn a blind eye, and I think that's the most disappointing part of it. And one looks at a case of this Saldanha by girl Jocelyn. There was more than 5 people that knew the intention of her mother. More than 5 people knew what the mother's intention was. It wasn't something that she conjured up in her brain the night before it happened. This was something that she had methodically planned over an extensive period of time, had involved other people in the planning of this thing. And we as a community, now none of us are from Saldanha Bay, but we as a community that knew about it, that heard the rumors about it, that interacted with it, we should take a lot of the blame on our shoulders as well. Because if we acted when we were supposed to act, we could have saved that child. If we acted when we were supposed to act, every other child that something has happened to may have not have happened. So I'm to blame. We all have to take some level of responsibility. If we've become aware of something, heard something, see something, see a child being mistreated, see a child being neglected, seeing a child walking around, a 4 or 5 year old child walking around streets away from where they stay on his own. That's rubbish. And so we as communities, we've become so, it's all about me and screw the rest, that we actually need to ourselves fall flat on our faces and take responsibility for a lot of what is happening in our society today.
Kaylynn, where do we go?
100% agree. I 100% agree with both Benji and Angus McKenzie. Both I think brought up valid points in terms of look, where if there's smoke, there's fire. I think if community members hear about something, I mean, police obviously cannot monitor comments or monitor like things that you say here and there. But I do think that if more than one person is saying the same thing, surely look into it. Yeah.
Will we ever then see a time where children are now protected? There's a crime scene, every crime scene that I've ever been to, there's a child that's standing there that is having fun, they're playing there, there's a dead body that side, so will we ever see our children being protected from the evils of the world?
I do think that we can. I do think that we live in hope. We South African, we live in hope. Well, I know that Angus spoke about it's a responsibility of community members, responsibility of parents to ensure that their children are safe. But I do feel that government is also partly responsible. I say this because just 2 weeks ago, a week ago, myself and you, Mandi, as well as Benji, we were at court at the Enova Park case, right? We know what happened at the Enova Park case in terms of the child being allegedly raped by someone in the community. Now, this was a perpetrator that has been already in prison for the same crime, right? So clearly, how did this guy jump through the system without the community members knowing that there is a predator back in the community? And then he goes on and then he does his crime again. Barely even 3 months, he repeats the same crime. So I blame government. I think we know about the sexual offenders register that the minister promised that it will be made public. And these are all the perpetrators, well, not perpetrators, convicted criminals that has obviously did crime in terms of sexual offenses. So the minister promised and then they backtracked, right? Because they spoke about the legal aspect of it, the privacy of the perpetrators or convicted criminals, and also the Poppy Act that they now need to consider. So it's now we in May going into June, half the year, and the minister has still not gotten back to us in terms of the sexual offenders register, but also zooming into the parole system. I think that our parole system and the sexual offenders register, which is ultimately in government's department, I think they're not doing their work and they are failing children.
I think Kaylynn is absolutely right. Kaylyn's absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. I think, Kaylynn, if you'd remember when you were still writing, or when you were still a journalist, we were trying to do a project, a story on the parole board engaging community on when people would come out on parole and having public participation of that. And we were shown the middle finger, literally shown the middle finger, where and not, I'm sure we'll chat about other, I may be invited to discuss other issues at another time, but the people that come into our communities that are causing the drama, whether it be children, rape, killing, snatching kids, or shooting people, are predominantly parolees, people that have been released from prison, where communities have had no say. And so not only did the minister promise that register and now came up with excuses. I recall standing at a march, Kaylynn was there, I think Mandi was there as well, where we had a march in Parliament, at Parliament, where all in black, where the president came out, and it was that Uyeni girl, the girl in Claremont that was raped and murdered. And the president came out and said there'll be no parole for victims, for perpetrators of GBV, no parole. None whatsoever. And I stand in court and I have to have meetings with prosecutors and magistrates before court to insist that a child rapist from Bonteheuwel doesn't see the light of day. And there is a prosecutor that is going to sit back and say, no, it's fine, he must get parole. So there's a lot of air from those that are responsible and that have to, and those that need to do the job. There's a ton of air, but there's actually very little substance to what they're saying. And what does it do to communities? It leaves communities helpless as well.
What are the chances that the 9-year-old girl would not have had the experience that she had the community, been aware that we are living amongst, or there's this person that has come into our neighborhood and we now have to protect our children. Benji, you've spoken about this. I mean, when we spoke that day, that government needs to intervene. What do you think else can happen? I mean, what else needs to be done now? And not even necessarily government. I don't know where we should go, but what do you think should happen now to protect the children? And also having these events like today, I'm sure that social development had an event, and then the events will end on the 4th of June, when the week ends. What happened beyond the 4th? What happens beyond the 4th of June? Where do these children feel protected and where do they go?
Every day is Children's Day. Every day is Children's Day by me. Or it must be the whole world Children's Day, because our children is very important. Like Angus McKenzie said, my child is your child. Jou kind is my kind. Hands off our children. That word must go out there. Like way back where we used to, a child needs to be a child. We as parents, education starts at home. And we as parents need to educate our children. And we need to allow our children to be children. You see, the other thing I want to touch on is where you talk about the person of interest or the perpetrator. When a parolee come out, SEPs correctional service need to inform SEPs. SEPs need to inform the CPF, because the CPF is Community Police Forum. The CPF needs to inform his community, or they must have a meeting. Can we allow this guy back into our areas, or can we take him out of the area, put him into another area? You see, but there's no word out there. Only SAPS will know when a parolee comes out, but the CPF and maybe the CPF, I'm not sure if the CPF knows that a parolee come out, but this needs to be done, because we must remember when we send a parolee out there, and especially when he was in for child molest, or for sexual, then we must know a parolee out there, and then we must think, it is, how can I put it? One parolee out, one child might get raped or might get killed. This must already, when correctional service decide to put that person out there must already be that thought in our heads, what will happen to our children. Because he did it once, he did it twice. How many? See that Bangaga guy, he was out he had 32 cases against his name. Tesnay van Wyk was the 33rd case. But they still allow him out.
Yeah.
So who's suffering here? The community is suffering. Our children is suffering. So every day is Children Week, and every day parents, even community, we must go way back. Like Angus McKenzie said, like, when your neighbor, your mother is not at home, and the neighbor is out there, and you did something wrong, then the neighbor will punish you. No? We must do that again, but nowadays, no, we can't do it. Because if you're going to punish your neighbor's child, then the mother's going to, why are you hitting my child? Why this, why that, why? No, man, we must go back. We are there to support the children out there. the community out there. So even parents must get it in their mind that we must go way back, because we must allow children to be children. If children must be punished, children must be punished. Even this law that came in of corporal punishment, that's why children can do what they want to do. And it's so wrong. So if uncles say, listen here, don't do that, or why did you take that? And uncle give a hiding, then the child said, no, I'm going to go to the police station, open a case. But you know that hiding, what did that hiding teach us? A lot. Don't do that anymore, or don't go there anymore. So hands off our children when it comes to perpetrators.
Okay. So, but then, just a random question. Are our communities well versed with their rights, firstly, or what to do? If let's make a same example with Jocelyn and Kelly. Now, as a mom, I have 3 children and I am on drugs. So then, how do where do I go for help? I mean, I know that she did go for help and she went to DSD, and there she did get help. But there are so many moms like Kelly who don't know what to do, who don't know where to start, what do they do? Where do they go? Is the government or organizations, also the NGOs, Benji, are you guys educating the communities, about what to do in 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 matters like that, where you feel you are overwhelmed and you can't do it anymore? Instead of harming your children, this is what you need to do.
You know, Mandi, a lot of people comes to us for assistance, and we talk to the people. We do awareness, a lot of awareness, um, social development. They can go to social development. We have the safety platform where I'm not sure if you know Mosaic, no? Where the different NPOs is on the safe panel. It is like fighting of missing person is dealing with missing persons. Then Mosaic is dealing with the social worker side of the things. Then you could get the court side. Auntie Linda is doing the court side. You got different organizations that is on that platform. And I think if people reach out for help, there's a lot of help. There is a lot of help for people. They must just open their mouths and they must just walk into the right directions and ask for assistance, and people will assist.
Okay, Angus, what are you guys doing there to protect children? I mean, you said there was a project. So what is this project about? Can you just
So
uh
I'll tell you. So I'll tell you what we currently doing, or what we've done for a while, and we've really grown in it. So we started with 5. Now we're on about 40, I think, at the moment, and so we've just been adding additional funding to it all the time. Is we've employed a group of community members that in Bonteheuwel are spread across all our schools, primary schools as well as the high schools. And they split themselves up into groups, so we have representation everywhere. And it is the sole responsibility of these individuals to make sure that kids are getting to school safely. So they walk kids as best they can, with specifically where there is no adult supervision or the adults aren't walking or aren't taking their kids to school. They are making sure kids are getting to school safely in the morning, and it's not just till by the corner. They are walking these kids into the school gates. So they've got a relationship with the school leaderships and the staff, and they're slowly building relationships with parents as well. So they're walking kids to school. So we know that the kids are getting to school. Then we know that at most cases, pardon me, specifically in our primary schools, children are safe at school. At our high schools, we have a different problem where we unfortunately have gangsters on high school, kids that are gangsters, kids that are involved in gangs, connected to gangs. So when we come, I'll get to that now though. But so with primary schools, then once the school bell rings, this team of mine are on the schools as well. So they on the schools at break time, they're assisting teachers, they're doing whatever they need to do to really look at the safety of kids. By the time the school bell rings to go home, those kids are then taken home, walked home, etc., into the care of their parents. At high school, we've taken it one step further because these kids are baby adults. Let's call them that for the lack of a better word. We have law enforcement officers on the school, so consistent searching of learners, consistently being visible on the school, because it's just another world at our high schools in some of our areas. So that's one aspect of it where we have that. We have a team of social workers. We use, obviously, the social workers are based in Langa, but they have offices in Bonteheuwel. So they work out of Bonteheuwel offices as well, and they're assisting parents, etc. My office is a conduit for all of this. So my office refers. I'm not a professional counselor. I'm a political counselor. So my office refers into social workers, into community leaderships, into churches, into church leadership, religious leaders in the area, depending on the type of concerns that are raised. And then we also work very closely with the South African police services in the area that have their own set of trauma and trauma counselors, and the FCS unit counselors that they also have. So we are doing a lot. We don't have a high level of missing children cases in Bonteheuwel. We've had one or two teenagers that have gone missing, but we generally find those teenagers very quickly because they're either out at a friend's place, there's a problem at home, or they've gone to the cousin because there's a problem at home, etc. But we've not really had over the last few years any major missing persons cases in Bonteheuwel that we've not been able to close very quickly. So that we do. There's still so much more we can do. There's still so much more we want to do. There are the hiccups in trying to get to doing everything, but what we are doing, we do to the best of our ability. We use all the resources that we do have, and at the very least, we are seeing that it in fact works. Our children are safer, and I think one of the best determinants for us to see whether the systems we are putting in place is working is to look at our matric pass rates and our school pass rates. And we have consistently seen over the last few years our matric pass rate in Bonteheuwel escalate in the right direction. I think Bonteheuwel High School last year, 2024, had an 86.4% pass rate. There was a pass rate that schools never had ever. I mean, we talk about a school that has that if they had a 60% pass rate, they were happy. So they've been able to escalate their pass rate quite high. Our other high schools have done the same. But that is because children are feeling a whole lot more comfortable and safer on school. I would say one last thing, and it's something that I've started working on 6 years ago, and I'm still struggling with it. I still haven't got it right, and I'm man enough to admit it, is bringing back sports and culture to schools. Now, I say that to you because and I can only speak of my own. My children go to a government school, but my children are at school from the time I drop them at 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock every day. So they go to school until 2:30. 2:30, they get changed into whatever kit they get changed into, and they're going to either play chess, they go to the choir, or they go and play sports on the field. And at 5 o'clock, I go and pick my kids up at school, and that's every day except Friday. What is a real problem in our communities, and this is where schools are not supporting us, this is where school leaderships is not supporting us either, is school after extramural activities for school kids in our areas. A child, you can't show me one child that has been shot on a school field doing an extramural activity after school hours, but you can show me children that have been shot walking around on the streets after 2:30. And I would rather have a child be supervised from 2:30 until 5 o'clock on a school ground, developing a talent, a sport, a culture, than have a child aimlessly walking around on the street between 2:30 and the time that their parents come home from work, etc. And this is something that schools are supposed to be implementing. This is something that the law requires of schools, but our schools just aren't doing it. So that's something that if there's people out there that's willing to help me achieve that and willing to work with me to get our township schools playing sports regularly on a daily basis, then I think we'll be able to tick another box in trying to keep kids safe and to try and keep kids active and living out their talents. But those are some of the stuff we've done in Bonteheuwel. At least from a Bonteheuwel perspective, it's working. Our kids are safe. But I can't be happy that we're getting it right in Bonteheuwel, but we're getting it wrong elsewhere. I can't. That's nothing to be proud of.
Okay. So we're gonna take questions, and then after the questions, then we'll have like your closing remarks. Anyone with questions, comments? Oh, sorry, guys. Any questions? Okay. There's a question from Dee's World. What can be done to keep children safe during, especially June holidays? So what can be done during the holidays?
You know, there was this thing Kom Speel Saam. I'm not sure if you know what was Kom Speel Saam. City used to send that out in every holidays at community centers. So I think if Kom Speel Saam or Come and Play, I think Come and Play, no? Come and Play comes out again. We get that project again every holidays for the children to keep them busy out of the road. Then it would be the best thing. That is what I think, bringing Come and Play back into our streets. Or parents need to nowadays you can get a nanny also. The nanny can also be the perpetrator. You can get even the uncle that is looking after the child or the auntie that is looking after the child. This can also happen. But if you take the child where the child is going to be safe for, say, from 8 o'clock, I think it used to be 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock at community centers. So if we can have that again in our areas.
I agree. I remember back in my young days, I used to go to the local community center, and there was a range of activities and games. Angus, is it still on? Does the city still do it?
Absolutely. So all our community centers, and again, I speak again of Bonteheuwel, but I know it happens a whole lot wider than Bonteheuwel. All our community centers have play programs every day. Our churches, I don't know if some of, I'm sure we all went to church, but our churches used to have something called VBS, Vocational Bible School. And so during the holidays, our churches' doors are open as well. So some churches are still doing it. Others are struggling to getting back to do it. But our community centers across Bonteheuwel and across the city have holiday programs. I will tell you what the problem is, though. And I visit all these holiday programs, and I encourage us as a group here to maybe come out in the next holidays, which is in June, and I'll show it to you. The biggest problem, and let me tell you, last year, I spent over 200,000 Rand on activities for children. So those are carom boards and balls and all these sorts of stuff, activity stuff that they can use. At our one holiday program at the Bonteheuwel Community Center that is run by one of the best play team leaders you'll find, his name is Timothy Amos. He's lucky if 18 kids pitch up. He's literally lucky if 18 kids pitch up. So it's not that they don't exist. The problem is they're not being supported. Therein sits a lot of the problem. It's not that there aren't any solutions to the problem. It's the fact that People just don't want the solutions also, So yeah, it does happen. Our cultural, I think our Parks and Recreation, our cultural department does a lot of these holiday programs. Our swimming pools are the safest place for children to be during summer. The safest. Come to Bonteheuwel swimming pool. These kids have a blast. I even swim with him, and I love it. And but it's just, is it not enough in some cases, or is there just no interest to be part of it? That's the question, I guess.
Okay. We have a second question here. How do we involve safer schools in this project? Okay. Under wildlife, can you just specify, is this the project that McKenzie was talking about, or so we have another one. What can be done about primary school children enrolled in schools but not attending school?
So on the first question, how do we involve safer schools? Safer schools are involved in all our schools. Every single school, whether that school is in a sought-after area or whether that school is in a poor area, have safer schools coordinators on them. So the safer schools is there. They are on the school. They operate on the school. There's no issue there. A lot of the safer schools implementations is really directed by the school leadership and teachers themselves. So they need to activate what's available. With regards to the other question about there was another question, what can be done about primary school children? So it's a criminal offense. It is a criminal offense for a child not to go to school. A caregiver, a parent, the person designated to rear the child can be held criminally liable if a child does not go to school. But again, as we spoke about earlier, the willingness to do what needs to be done to arrest the mother or to arrest the father is the biggest challenge. But the law, there is a clear law that it is against the law for any school-going age child that is not at school, for the caregiver / parent, that they can be held liable and can be arrested for it.
Okay. Okay, so we have a comment here. It says we also have the walking buses in our area for the children, but children still get robbed. So Rabia wants to know, what can we do when someone goes missing and police are slow to act? In some cases, I've heard that the police would tell a person, come back on a certain day because this is an 18-year-old, something like that, or refuse to take the case. What can they do, Benji? And after Benji, then Kaylynn.
There is no waiting period in a missing person, firstly. Secondly, if a police officer sends you out and tell you that this child is 18 years old, she can be by a friend or she's by a boyfriend or whatever, you immediately ask to talk to his shift commander. If his shift commander don't want to help, you talk to the station commander. If the station commander don't want to hear, you take it up to PC. You take it further. That's why the NPO organizations is there to also assist in sometimes when the police officer don't want to take the case. They will phone me. I immediately will phone the station. And then I will explain to them there is no waiting period in a missing person. Who's your station commander? Give me the name. I'll take it further. Don't you know your standing operation procedure? Because we had a national standing operation procedure from SEPS where it states there is no waiting period in a missing person. And a missing person, you must take immediately. The moment the parent or the loved one realize that the child or a person is missing, they need to come to the station and open a missing person. So who are you as a police officer chasing the people away?
100% agree with
Kaylynn?
Benji. I mean, we've also worked with cases where people say they go to the police station and then they are turned away, or there's not enough. Sometimes at some police stations they do listen to you, but then the cops do not have vehicles to go to the community where the child or someone went missing. I do feel that when people are faced with a cop turning them away, they do need to take steps further. You need to ask, so who is your superior, or who is your station commander, or who is your shift commander on duty? Surely someone needs to be needs to be a second in command. I think communities or people, we too often, in some cases, we accept the fact that, okay, the cops are not going to take me seriously, or they're not going to take on my case. We too often accept that and not challenge the system. I mean, at the end of the day, the policing service is there to serve communities. And they need to take their role seriously. They took an oath to do that. So when we are faced in a situation where we turned away, we need to challenge that police officer. Who is your shift commander? Who is the person in charge here? And just keep on your case. Just hammer it until you are satisfied. Like Benji said as well, there are organizations who are there to do oversight, to ensure that sometimes, in some cases, that your case is being heard through the right channels, just for people to tap into it. Open your mouths and talk to us. Like us, we do court oversight. We ensure that that your case is being dealt with in the correct manner. We do know that in some cases dockets go missing, and when a docket goes missing, we make a noise. We make a noise. So there are organizations also coming back to the aspect where you spoke about support or services rendered for communities. I do feel that there are brilliant organizations out there with good skills and good people. The only thing that is lacking is funding. Many organizations that we work with, they are amazing. They are like literally old ladies on the streets, in the walking bus, or is part of an organization that assists women and children. But the only thing that hinders them from doing what they love and what they're passionate about in serving the community is the lack of funding. And I do think that government needs to open that pool a bit bigger, and support organizations who are essentially doing, I'm sorry to say, their work.
Okay,
Kaylynn, when you talk about funding, I think government needs to look into organizations that is really doing the work and are really working on the ground, because I can say Faith and Hope Missing Person don't get a cent for funding. We work out of our own pocket. And I'm telling you, it's a little bit difficult because of all the cases that we have. And sometimes we have to do SAP's work, like you said. SAPs don't, sometimes they don't. The police officer don't even know how to open a missing person report. I would assist. I will advise them how to. And you know what? This is my cry. I think I've been telling you, I've been telling Mandi, I've been telling a lot of representatives. Please, this is my cry to the Minister of Police, that he needs to open his own missing person unit, because the numbers is rising. For me only, I had 86 missing persons. That is only 10 of missing persons. We have 86 missing persons. Out of that 86, we had 34 females. And it's not fair. It's not fair. And I'm telling you, every day I'm on the ground, go look for a missing person, because my fear is, who is the next person, or who is the next child? And I don't want that.
Okay, let's just move on to the next question or comment. So Storm says, Mandi, for our Nyanga, Guguletu, Philippi areas, what is in place for the missing persons? Also, can workshops also be arranged for these areas with parents? I don't know. I think I don't know who can actually answer this.
Mandi, when it comes to missing persons, We have to be very careful when we work with children. No? You see, we can have a missing person unit in every area. We can have a missing person unit, but the missing person organization, they need to train the people, and people need to be vetted. The same like Neighborhood Watch, like Mitchell's Plain. I have Mitchell's Plain. I have the Mitchell's Plain Reaction Missing Person Unit. I'm the coordinator of the missing person. So that is Neighborhood Watch members that is working with me, and also walking bus members that is working me from the safety structure. And I've trained these people to work on the ground, what to do. And yes, we can go do workshops, we can go do speeches, because this is what we do on schools. In Mitchell's Plain area, we do a lot of speeches on the schools to make the children aware of when he goes missing. Even we sit in churches, we do awareness in churches, we do awareness in town center, community centers. That is what we do. So if they want to just to have a workshop, it's fine. But anyone can't go out there, go and search for a missing person, because you never know when the perpetrator is with you.
And also, so she adds to what she was asking, that maybe, or that they need help in identifying red flags in children's behavior.
Is
So
it when a red flag for missing persons, or red flag when
let's
something
say
happened to
that
the child?
Kaylynn, your child is being abused or bullied somewhere. So then reading your child's behavior or the change in behavior. So is there such a workshop for that? Are there people that they can go to ask, like, look, can you assist in teaching us what is it that we need to look for in our children's behavior or change of behavior?
I think there's workshops for that, Mandi. Social service needs to come in there, because why? They have the training when it is to you have to look at the symptoms of the children and all that. Myself and my team, we will talk about symptoms of when you see your child is depressed. What is the symptoms? What is the symptoms if a child was touched? What is the symptoms if a child was bullied? You see, so there is people that can go out there and do workshops. But like I said, once again, coming back to Kaylynn, the funding. Traveling from this place to that place, it's a lot of fuel. You understand? Also, there was a time when my vehicle was broken. Then I have to take taxi. I have to take the train. I have to take the bus to go and do missing persons.
Okay. Mackenzie, can you come into this one? Because somebody is saying, Tertia is saying, a lot of schools have cameras, but when there's an issue, they say the cameras are not working. So in your specific ward, what do you do to make sure that you have all these cameras are working?
I can't tell you directly if all our schools in Bonteheuwel have cameras, right? But I can tell you that we have we've obviously got CCTV cameras in and around schools, on main roads, etc. My apologies, my phone rang. We do have cameras in and around schools and the roads in and around schools, and then obviously on our main streets. And we have constant maintenance done on our cameras. Obviously, it's cable linked, so they always attracted cable thieves are always attracted to them. But there's constant maintenance happening on those cameras. We've never been in a position where we needed to draw footage of cameras for situations as such yet. But I think if the question is it's a bit of a difficult question to answer, because it's not giving us specifics on what schools, etc. But the best is just to be able to check and say, well, if there was a challenge at the school, did the school have a camera? And if the school had a camera, was there any footage of anything happening? But it's open-ended and very difficult to try and put together a concrete answer, other than to say that where we do have cameras, we do make use of them.
Okay. Okay, fine. We'll move on. What happened to the children going to schools closest to home? You apply, they are not accepted. Okay, this question is not for this live. We will have another live where we will discuss such issues because they do contribute into child safety or lack thereof, So we will revisit this one, Mo. So there's a comment here. Unfortunately, communities are not the same as when we grew up. Nowadays, we have high walls. We don't really know our neighbors on a personal capacity. It's a comment, guys. It's not a question. I've reported a 15-year runaway. I was told we're wasting our time. There are real missing children. Rabia, can you just tell us where and when this happened so that maybe if Benji works close to the to the station commander, she can convey this or something like that. So why do police officials refuse to open a case when, okay, fine, we've dealt with this one. If it's criminal, why doesn't school leadership react to parents not sending their kids to school? I think kids from 13, they have a right to not go to school. I didn't know that, guys. I did
No,
not know
no, no, no. Kids, any child, I think it's 16 or 17 or something. It's, by law, they have to be in school.
that.
By
Okay.
law, yeah.
All right. We see on a daily basis primary school children roaming the streets in Bonteheuwel.
Yeah, I think that happens everywhere. That's the problem that we're speaking to now. And how do you police that problem is, I think, the challenge we're all trying to find an answer to. These kids have been allowed not to go to school. Kids have been allowed to by their parents to not go to school. And policing it is a challenge because do you fill the cell up with parents that don't want to send their children to school, or do you fill the cell up with gangsters? It's such a challenge, resource draining challenge.
Okay, so just checking now if we have any other question. Guys, please, when you ask a question or when you comment on something, can you just stick to the topic that we're talking about? We're talking about child safety. How safe are our children? So your questions, can they please be on that? Yes, we have a missing persons person. Benji is here and she's worked a lot with children and also missing children. So, Benji, this person says, oh, it's Rabia. She says oh, the 15-year-old runaway. It's not a recent thing. It happened 10 years ago at Mitchell's Plain, SAPS. So,
If it comes up again in future, please don't wait. You go to the shift commander. Don't let the police officer tell you a lot of things about there is people that is getting missing. Maybe your child is here and there. No, don't allow him to say that. You take his name and you talk to the shift commander. If the shift commander, once again, you take the shift commander's name. You take it to the station commander and you take the name. If not, there must be a paper trail. You take it to PC. To the provincial center, that is the headquarters here in Cape Town, you take it up to them. Like I said, you can phone the NPOs also to assist you guys what to do when a child goes missing. We will assist you guys, even we will assist you till they by the police station. Because what I do, I phone to the police station. If someone walks out there and tells me, listen, the police officer don't want to help me, I phone that station. And I ask, why don't you want to help? What's your name? What's your surname? And what's your rank? I'm going to take it further. I'm not going to leave it here. So you open that case now for me.
okay. Here's a question. What can a parent do if a child does not want to attend school and always has a story?
act like a parent? At what point have the roles reversed in society, where the child tells the parent what to do? At what point has the roles reversed?
You see, parents allow children to sit on their head. Parents must not allow children to sit on their head. You are the child and you must listen what I say. You go to school.
Correct. I couldn't agree with you more. I absolutely couldn't agree with you more. Even this nonsense where once the child has written exams and there's still a week left of school, the parents are like, no, it's fine, my child can stay at home for the week. Do you honestly know what culture you are creating in a child where, irrespective of whether exams are done, that child must go to school? Now, people throw stones and say, yeah, life is so nice in sought after areas and you don't know the struggles we go through, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the reality. In sought after areas, children are at school till the last day, till 11:30 on the last day. Our schools are empty because mommy said they can stay at home. Daddy said they can stay at home. So what we allow is what we can is the things we're gonna have to deal with tomorrow. What we allow today, we're gonna have to deal with the outcomes of that tomorrow. It boils down to what we said at the beginning. Parents play a critical role in this discussion, and parents must come on board. You are the parent, you're not the friend. You're the father, you're not the brother. You're the mother, you're not the sister. It's critical.
Okay, teacher also tells kids, I can't stay at home, but you're busy marking as your parents can decide. Okay, I think that I'm just gonna take, your final words, your remarks, and then we're gonna close the live. And Mackenzie can go back to your phone calls that were 11 on this live. So, Benji, can we just have closing remarks? Protecting our children to becoming beautiful and professional adults.
First, take for Angus McKenzie, because he needs to be by his phone.
Okay, Angus, we'll start with you.
All right, great. Listen, it is busy, as you can imagine, and I've not been able to get to my phone for most of the day because I was in council, so it's mad. But that's beside the point. This is a critical discussion. Benji, it's been my absolute pleasure to meet you and to engage with you, and I sincerely hope that we can at some point take this off online and meet face to face and really see how we can do more for the work that you are doing and really just expand on what you're doing. I think to Kaylynn I've known very, very long, always had a very soft spot for Kaylynn. She was my favorite, sorry, Mandi. Always had a very soft spot for Kaylynn, loved it to bits. And I think Kaylynn has really just come into her own after joining Action Society. She's really just popped up and taken a space that she deserves to take. And I think, Mandi, how you are progressing from being a paper, from continuing to be a paper journalist, but using platforms like this to have critical discussions, it's really awesome. So well done to all three of you ladies. You guys are all absolutely amazing, and I'm really, really happy to be here. I think more than anything, if there's one thing I've taken out of this hour that we've spent together, is that every child has an absolute right to be cared for, to be loved, to be nurtured, and to be guided. But more than anything, every child has an absolute right to safety. And as adults, not as community leaders, not as people with titles, but as adults, we all have a responsibility to ensure that kids that are within our world, kids that are within our radius, are kids that we must do our best for to see the best out of. We must be able to take full responsibility for when a child that we could have acted with has failed. We must take responsibility when a child goes missing that we could have interacted with and saved goes missing. When a child dies that could have lived that we could have interacted with dies, there is some level of responsibility on our shoulders as well. But more importantly, we have a task in enabling parents to be better parents. And we have a task in ensuring that we are equipping mothers and fathers. And here's the scary stat that I'll leave you with. Across the Cape Flats, 75% of our households are fatherless households. 75%. And so let's be the father to the fatherless. Let's be the mother to the motherless. And let's make sure we are developing leaders for the future and not gangsters and problems for the future. That responsibility, unfortunately, sits in our hands and no one else's hands. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Benji, do you want to go? Okay, fine. We'll close with Action Society. Let's go with you, Benji.
Firstly, thank you, Mandi, for giving Faith the opportunity to be on your couch. Nice meeting you, Kaylynn, once again. And also, I think this is the first time that I've met Angus McKenzie. But yeah. So, guys out there, to our community, our children is very important. And our children is our first priority. My child, always remember that my child is your child and your child is my child. Parents, please go the extra mile to interact with your child. Listen to your child. Sit with your child. Even if it's only for 2 or for 5 minutes, just hear your child out. Know what is your child's whereabouts. Know where your child is going. Know with who your child is chatting on that phone. That is also dangerous. Know if your child have a cell phone. Know what is your child's phone number. Know what is your child's PIN, Facebook account, email address. Please, people, you need to interact with your children. You need to know who their friends is, and you need to know the environment your children is playing or going to. So please, parents, do me that favor. We will have it's Children's Week, but in that Children's Week we will have one day, and I hope and pray that we can do that and bring children back to children. Let a child feel like a child, because I really want to have a lot of games. Anyone that can assist me with games for the children, to make it a fun day. Anyone that can contribute towards anything for these children. I really want to do something for the children so that they can feel that they are a child. Phones must be put away. No phones that day. Only for children, a play day for the kids.
Okay, Miss Paul.
So thank you, Mandi, for the invitation. As you know, it's my very, very first live for as long as I've been on TikTok. So thank you for.
You did great.
I was going to say that word, but I'm going to leave it like that. Thank you so much. It was really, really inspiring to hear Angus McKenzie as well as Benji, the continuous hard work that they do on ground level. I think it's extremely important. And also I'd like to encourage people to support the programs and activities which the organizations in general, and especially Faith and Hope's organization as well. With that said, I do feel like we are living in a very, very dark and evil society. So it's up to us as society in general, parents, organizations, communities, as well as government, to work together in order to keep our children safe, because stats are rising. It's not going any lower. And yeah, I just feel that it's important for everyone to hold hands and to work together. And I think that's how we're going to keep the next generation safe.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on my couch. And I hope that you will be able to come back when I need you guys. I think I'm going to need you, Kaylynn, next week, but yeah, we'll see. You know what? Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Benji. I keep calling you guys like 3 days or 2 days before, the show. But you know what? I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate that you were willing to come and sit with me on this couch, and you can actually educate people. And I'm sure that they've learned a lot from what you guys said. And thank you so much. May you have a blessed night. I know, Kaylynn, that I've cut into your nap time. I know how you love your sleep. So, so you can now go to sleep. Thank you so much. Au revoir.
Conserving energy. Thank you.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.